Imagine not liking football, eh? What a World Cup. What a World Cup. The World Cup has concluded. Argentina are the champions. Messi stands go wild. The footballing world goes wild after what was possibly the greatest showcase of football in the history of the sports on the grandest stage. But listen, but all that aside, club football returns for Chelsea in just 9 days' time. Who's excited? Hey, let me know in the comments below if you're excited. But listen, from the World Cup, what can we take from this year's competition? Before we get started, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and hit the bell notification to be notified of all the content we have coming up for you here on Chelsea Fan Team with the return of club competition. We'll just get straight into it, shall we? We'll start with Croatia. Mateo Kovacic travelled the furthest in the competition with Croatia. He picks up a bronze medal. And with speculation surrounding his future from time to time at the club, and the man himself allegedly open to a new challenge. With his performances over the past month or so, will we struggle to keep a hold of him? Or, you know, do you want to keep him? Let me know down below. Do you want to keep Mateo Kovacic? I think after the performances he's had for Croatia in this tournament, it's a done deal in terms of the fact that surely people want to keep him on. We're going to have ratings after in just a few minutes. Or so. We'll just go through all these players, shall we? Senegal. Of course, England came up against them, made light work at that time. But namely, Kalidou Koulibaly registered his first ever goal for Senegal as he sent them through against Ecuador, as we know. Brilliant performance in that game, despite Edouard Mendy trying everything he could do to take that away from him. Mendy just ever showing why he's not really fit to be our number one keeper anymore. Shocking performances from him for the most part throughout that competition. England's Raheem Sterling, 3 appearances for England, 1 off the bench, 1 goal, 1 assist, a little bit of drama, I suppose, a situation in his personal life that meant for him to go back. And I know that didn't really impact necessarily any games that he was involved in. He obviously came back. Many people thought that his appearance against France was detrimental rather than influential. A bit harsh, but still, I completely understand. Mason Mount was seemingly stripped of game time and only managed 186 minutes, but did gain England that huge penalty against France, of which Kane would go on to miss. Whether or not you think Mason Mount played for the penalty, had any idea that the penalty was about to take place, appears as though he just didn't fit into Southgate's game plan and ultimately was benched. A rather lackluster appearance in this tournament for him. I think even he would agree. It just didn't really live up to what I think a lot of Mason Mount fans, Chelsea fans, people were expecting. Maybe a few people were expecting him to have a bit of a quiet one. Obviously had moments, as did a lot of players, but for the most part was missing by no fault of his own. Just players over him chosen over the man himself. For Germany, Kai Havertz, in fairness, scored 2 goals in a game that saw Germany 2-1 down before he came on. He took them to 3-2 and at the end of the match, of course, ending 4-2 against Costa Rica. One of the more bizarre games of the tournament, to be quite honest with you, that did eventually lead to Germany crashing out in the group stages. Really not more, really not much more you could have asked for Kai in that game. Didn't manage a single shot against Japan and didn't feature against Spain. Again, a bit lackluster for him in that regard. Wales, Ethan Ampadu, an unsung player in this tournament, given everything that's going on in the tournament and how, you know, just a bizarre World Cup, as it usually is, but even more so this time around. But again, an unsung player in this tournament this year, given the level of games played and also playing for Wales. Not his fault, really, let's be honest. Averaged 74% accuracy across his 3 games played. And whilst the results may not have reflected his performances, I think realistically he can be proud of what he was able to do individually for Brazil. Listen, the man, the myth, the legend, Thiago Silva just continues to age like fine wine. If he's not the finest of wines you've ever come across in the footballing world, in his position, Surely it's his last international competition. Carried Brazil in defence throughout and managed a cheeky assist, which was arguably one of the goals of the tournament. For Spain, Azpilicueta was also a strange one, registering an assist and unbeaten in the games. Of course, one of those games was the 7-0. He was a part of that, of course. Really nothing to go hard on him against. Didn't play besides that. And then we move on. Of course, there were other players that just did not feature. Zakaria played a little bit here and there. Gallagher didn't play at all. But for Belgium, Romelu Lukaku, just what an absolute embarrassment he is as a player. It's just you just think like how can you get worse than you already are? How can you bring on more hate, for lack of a better term, on yourself? Missing about 17 chances in one game will do it for you. And quite frankly, with the rumours at one point in the World Cup period that he would be maybe an option to bring him back, keep him. I don't want him. I never wanted him to. I never wanted him in the first place. Do you know what I mean? But still, we'll wait and see what happens come the end of the season. Then we move on to the main two, the ones you've all been waiting for. Christian Pulisic and Hakim Ziyech, the only Chelsea players to pick up a goal, an assist and a Man of the Match awards. But again, does that come as a surprise given their roles in their respective teams? Poor performing for club, then masterful performances for their respective nations. For me, it was always going to happen. You can go back through the through the archives of the watch-alongs here on Chelsea Fan TV, and again, I'll say this. So many players, namely these two, but again, so many other players, but again, namely these two, you'd see them playing. Again, a lot of people argue that they weren't getting necessarily the game time that they deserved, and they haven't got enough momentum in playing game after game after game, but still, when they did, the efforts from the likes of Hakim Ziyech, for me, namely, just seemed not bothered. Didn't want to get too involved. Didn't want to get too risking of an injury coming into the World Cup. Again, many other players. Thiago Silva even said it himself that if you think that players were going soft, they are, because they didn't want to risk a World Cup absence. But again, Christian Pulisic, Hakim Ziyech, just the two off the top of my head again, because they are the best performing players realistically for Chelsea in this year's tournament. They go from the way they are at Chelsea to then for Morocco and for the USA, again, the star boys for their respective nations, but them playing at the level that they were, is it surprising? Are you surprised that they were this good? Let me know. Just let me know. Does that change how they stand at Chelsea? Does it warrant more frequent game time for the duo? Or are they in no better position than they were before the competition began? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Where do you see these two come the return of club football? And with that said, we will move on very quickly. I'll take that off the screen. Let me just quickly... It's a one-man show. There we go. Here are my overall, and again, take it with a pinch of salt because, listen, it's been a long tournament. I'm tired. I'm supposed to be ready, rejuvenated, back for the watch-alongs, back for Chelsea. But this is my Chelsea World Cup 11. If you have differing opinions, of which I am absolutely certain many of you will, let me just check very quickly. It does look good. I'm sure many of you have very, very contrasting opinions, of which the comment section is there. You're going to let me know either way how bad my opinions are. So do so. And let me know specifically who was our star player for Chelsea in the World Cup. Who was your surprise performer? So not the best player, but who was one player in particular that was a surprise for you in how well they played? Or, alternatively, how badly they played, if you were expecting them to be good. And who had the worst performance overall out of the entire squad. Also, let me know how confident you are regarding Chelsea come Chelsea returning to club competition. Get those comments in down below. Again, let me just very quickly switch back. I'll try and make this a bit more free-flowing in the future. As for Chelsea, we have Bournemouth coming up next. Be sure to tune in to the watch-along on December 27th here, live on Chelsea Fan TV. Again, please like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications to be notified of all the content that we have coming up here on the channel that is Chelsea Fan TV. And with that said, Chelsea are back in just 9 days' time. Thank you for watching. The World Cup is over. Chelsea are back. Let's hope we do better than we did in the months prior to this competition. Up the Chelsea, and peace.